because what happens is when I'm trying to do a recording, they will decide that they want my attention, which is kind of funny because most of the time they don't want it. So right now, my Persian ragdoll is dragging one of his toys across the floor. He wants me to go out there. He's very smart. If we're lucky, he might come in here and I can show you his cute little squished face. And it's not squished because I got so frustrated with him and I bought him because I really like the fact that his face looks like I got stuck in a blender or something. I really like ugly animals. So, I think that would be the first question. Honestly, it's so funny. I didn't really know where to start when it came to questions. I didn't really know what you guys wanted to know about me. So being the cool person that I am, I pulled up how to Q&A yourself. My cat is standing in the door right now, looking at me. His toy is hanging out of his face. Anyway, so he wants our attention. Being the cool person that I am, I looked that stuff up, and I'm pretty sure that whoever spies on me through my phone at the Google headquarters probably thinks I'm kind of pathetic, which I'm actually totally okay with. It means they won't harvest my brains when the time comes for us to be microchipped. So, anyway, I guess that would be the first answer to a question that you probably would never have asked. What conspiracy theories do I believe in, and what kind of animals do I like? So to reiterate, I really like ugly animals. Anything that has a smushed face, that looks like it ran into a door, that only its mother would want to take care of it. Those are the kind of animals that I have an affinity for. And conspiracy theories, I don't actually think there are any that I necessarily ascribe to. Now, that being said, I'm sure that if I understood them well enough, there might be some that I did agree with, but as it is currently, I don't really know much of anything about conspiracy theories. My cats. So I have 3 of them. 2 of them are rescue cats. 1 of them, okay, so I think by now you're probably aware of the fact that I have fairly dark humor. A story. A story that I tell a lot of people when I first meet them is the story of Angelo. Angelo is my oldest cat. Oh, you can see. So there's Itis, his little butt. My oldest cat. I tell people that we got him from the shelter, which is true. But I always precurse the story by saying something like, or asking them, so you know those plaques at animal hospitals and any kind of adoption agency for animals, and people will usually respond with, oh yeah. So I tell them that Angelo's, well, his name was Snowflake, he's just pure white, so they figured that would be a good idea for a name. Anyway, on Angelo's cage, I saw people that there was something written up about the fact that his owner had been found unconscious in one of the bedrooms, and his owner had a slit that looked like a claw mark across his throat, and then there were paw prints going from the bedroom all the way into the kitchen, and Angelo was sitting there with a smug look on his face. And so the owner passed away, and they ended up taking Angelo to the pound. And anyway, that's what they have on Angelo's plaque, just so people know what they're getting into, you know? So that's why he had been there for 4 years, is what I would tell people. He'd been there for 4 years because nobody wanted him. Nobody wanted to be murdered by, a Felix Sylvestris, or whatever the Latin name is. Either way, it's shameful to be murdered by a house cat. I feel like I kind of want a shirt that says that. It's shameful to be murdered by a house cat. So, anyway, that's Angelo's fake backstory. In all actuality, we went in there, my husband and I, we went in there, and we found the cat that had been there the longest, and Angelo was very cuddly. He really wanted a lot of love, and he wasn't getting that there at the pound, right? Because there's only so much they get to. So we took Angelo home, and he's been wonderful ever since. He's very vocal. He likes to curl up on top of you while you sleep, and sometimes put his butt in your face as you're trying to go to bed. So that's fun. And then there's Bumble. On the way, so we live in Halifax, and we just moved to Halifax about 9 months ago, or 10, 9 or 10, something like that. And we had shipped our cats over in crates because bringing them on a road trip across Canada, well, it would have been hell, to put it lightly. So, on Bumble's crate, I scratched out the name Bumble, and I put Bumhole instead. So instead of something really cute, Bumblebee, it was Bumhole. So Angelo and Bumhole made their way from Lethbridge, Alberta, which is where I was living, to Halifax, Nova Scotia, with that name. So the entire time, the staff that would have been taking care of Bumble were calling him Bumhole. I love it. I love social experiments and doing things that might make people feel a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah, there's so many instances of that. It's kind of ridiculous. My best friend, when we first met, we were at a restaurant, and I decided that I wanted to ask the waiter if there was any gorilla meat in the kitchen, and I received the most blank stare from him. He looked so confused, and Mandy, my best friend, I think at that point she kind of knew that we were made to be together, which makes me really happy. So, yeah, social experiments are really fun. I would love to hear about times that you've done something like that, either to make people those kind of stories, honestly, they bring me so much joy. I have kind of a twisted sense of humor. Again, you know that. I don't need to keep repeating it, but I would say that it's probably my best feature is my twisted humor. One of the things that I love the most about myself is the ability to just be weird, and it really is. One of the reasons I love it is because you get to connect with people that you wouldn't otherwise connect with when you're just being genuine, and you're just having fun, and you're making observations about things that are so ridiculous that people kind of just like. I was talking to a friend last night, and this is a smaller example, but it's, I'd say, the most recent one. And he told me that he ran a Tim Hortons, and I asked if it was, a good place to hide human meat in the breakfast sandwiches, like if something like that. And he took it like a sport. There's so many examples, but this one stands out before I move on. He's still trying to get Mom's attention. So I was at a business meeting. It was like a get-together in Calgary, Alberta, where a bunch of people will pitch their ideas to people who are investors, angel investors, that sort of thing. And I was getting really tired of talking about business because that's not my forte. I'm not gifted in numbers and financials, and by that time I was just so tired of talking about the next big tech idea and how we're going to change the world with that tech and that sort of thing. So he came up to me and, just so well dressed in this really nice suit, really nice person. He comes up, he holds out his hand, and at this point I'm with a group of about, I think, 5 or 6 guys, and we're just hanging out. And he starts asking me a question about, the business that my husband started. He thought that I had started it, but which was fun to play with as well. But anyway, I didn't answer the question. I just deadpan stared him straight in the face, and I was just like, "Do you eat roadkill?" I feel kind of bad about it now. He was a really sweet man, but he kind of just looked at me. The table was just like quiet. He looked at me and he was just like, "All right, I think that's my cue to leave," and he just hightailed it out. So if you ever need tips to get out of uncomfortable situations, I'm sure there's a lot of advice like that on TikTok, but I could probably share some of my magic tricks for getting rid of people that you don't want to talk to, which is just such a godly concept, isn't it? We'll call it the justice of Katie. So anyway, I have the thing that I pulled up for reference, because again, I'm very cool. Yeah, very cool. So I was born in Cranbrook, British Columbia, which is this beautiful little town nestled in the Rocky Mountains. We're about 3 hours away from Calgary, Alberta, the major city in the area. You probably have heard of Calgary. So I grew up with forests and lakes and ghost stories of yetis in the forest, Sasquatch, that sort of thing, and just a really, really peaceful place. It's hard to describe, but it really feels like a little piece of heaven when you're there, and it's more of a blue-collar town, so a lot of people will just drive through it on their way somewhere, but when they do that, they really miss out on all of the beauty there. And there's this store called Hot Shots, which I found out is actually a strip club in, I think, Tampa, Florida or something, when I was Googling Hot Shots, and I was like, oh, that's not the right one. I was trying to order a sandwich, and like this, their advertising just popped up, and I was like, oh no, not today. So, some fun facts about Hot Shots. But they have some of the best food there. Absolutely love that place. The owner is so hard working. Her name is Sherry, and I used to work for her before I left for Hawaii. I went to Hawaii straight out of high school because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and so I signed up for DTS with YWAM. I'm not sure if you're familiar with YWAM, but it means Youth with a Mission. So she let me work for her, and because that's another thing about myself, is that I'm not very good at working for other people. This is something that I've recognized as time has passed. It's just not my forte. I'm a very individual kind of person, and a very creative. I have a very, very spontaneous kind of mind. So honestly, creating YouTube videos and hanging out with you is kind of just like the best thing ever. And it's not a job, but it's kind of just like a really cool thing that I get to do because I'm not working full time. So I love that. I love being here, hanging out with you. So yeah. And let's see. I guess you can probably imagine which animal I like the best. I have way too many of them living in my house, so. Oh, you know what? Okay, actually, I'm gonna just ignore that list, and I want to show you this thing that I came up with. I think I told you about her in my testimony video, but this. So, actually, you know what? I'll tell you what she is first. In middle school, I didn't have any friends, or they were friends, but they were fake friends, and that really sucked. So I would make stories up about creatures that I wanted to be friends with, creatures who were, nice and didn't stab me in the back or call me names, but they were very, very unique creatures. One of them turned out to be a Grecian demigod. I don't know if you've heard of Hephaestus before. Hephaestus is the ugliest god on Mount Olympus because, again, I really, really like ugly things. And he had a daughter with an unsuspecting mortal woman, as the Grecians do. And she begat Matilda. And this is Matilda, the demigod, who was born in Greece, and she lives in Venice, or not Venice, Vesuvius, in Pompeii. So when Vesuvius erupted, her entire human family was destroyed, and she was so beside herself that she tried throwing herself into the volcano that had destroyed her family. And it didn't work. She got caught on a tree hanging over the volcano, and this is what ended up happening to her. So she's got see the skin flaps. That is from the volcano. Her skin just couldn't handle it. And then her hair. This is actually something that I identified with in middle school. That is, you always have split ends in your hair. That was my life because I would straighten the living crap out of it. But then she's very royal, right? She is a daughter of a god. And then she's got no feet. I mean, in all actuality, she does have feet, just they're not drawn here, which is fine. And before you give me credit for drawing that, I did not draw that. That was drawn by a good friend of mine who is a professional artist. I am not an artist. I just come up with the weird crap and then ask my friends to draw things. So I find a lot of inspiration from the things that I draw, or the things that I write in things that my friends have drawn for me. So that's Matilda. And so kind of on a similar note, I am a writer, and I published my first book 2 summers ago. It's a novella, so it's quite short, but I created it to give an entry into the worlds that I'm creating, and it was so fun to write. So I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of the Nephilim in scripture. They first show up in Genesis, but the Nephilim, according to some belief belief that I follow, the Nephilim were a mixture of humans and angels, because the angels had mated with human women and created these creatures that were powerful and that were the heroes of renown and that sort of thing. So the Nephilim in my books are those Nephilim. I've given them different tribes. Some of them are mermaids. Some of them are winged creatures. The Rephaim, the raven people, the lion people, and they have ethnic roots in the lion people are in Morocco near the Black Sea, and the Rephaim are mostly around the coast of Los Angeles, and I have some in Scotland as well that I'm working through. So and I'm writing my second book this summer. I'm gonna have it finished, and it's about a girl who finds out that her mom is in like incredible debt, really bad debt. So this girl, Karis is her name, she has to join this competition, or she chooses to join this competition to win money, and it's kind of like the Victoria's Secret Angels, but they've made it politically correct, and they want somebody who will represent women and be a role model for women. And they don't necessarily look like angels, right? They just look like quote-unquote average, normal people. So she joins that and finds out that it's actually run by Nephilim. And I have another character who's Chomash. He's native to the Los Angeles area. And like the people who lived there before the Spanish took it over. You know, the people who rightfully claimed that area. And his mother was had a relationship with one of those Nephilim, one of those spirits, kind of beings. And he came out of that, and he's a very conflicted character. So anyway, him and Karis meet up, and it's kind of a crazy journey. Really fun, because another thing about me is I really like studying the psychology of religion, how it affects us, and unfortunately there has been a lot of abuse perpetuated by the church, and that's not something that we can gloss over. So I address that in my book, and in both my books actually. It's something that I take very seriously, because I know that a lot of people have really, really been hurt by religion. So, yeah, let's see. Okay, I guess this is another thing. It's asking me which relative am I closest to and why. It's a tricky question, because I really have a different sort of relationship with all of my relatives. We're not a very big family, but I love them all. Yeah, but oddly enough, I would say, I'm gonna try to, I hid, or not hid, but I accidentally placed the picture that I wanted to show you underneath the cord for the mic, and underneath the lighter that I used for the candles. So this is going to be interesting, getting this out. Sorry, it's unsavory sounds with Katie. Anyway, so my grandpa grew up with a dad who was hyper religious and very abusive. Unfortunately, I come from a line of Baptist ministers, and some were good, some were not good. And unfortunately, my grandpa had to endure the religious fanatic one, and he turned to alcohol to help deal with the pain in his heart. And he died before I was born, quite a bit before I was born, just because his body had been kind of destroyed. But he was a very, very handsome man. He had dark eyes, dark hair, and he used to call himself an intelligent fool. He knew the right answers. He knew how he should be living life, but he just chose to not follow it. And I find that can be how a lot of us live our lives, and myself included, in a lot of different respects. So anyway, he's inspired a lot of my writing, and this is in the back. Saskatoon is where they were, and this is my grandma and my grandpa. I didn't meet either of them, but yeah, I love them both a lot, and I feel a real kinship towards my grandpa. Just, I don't know, I can't really explain why, but I really he's inspired my Nephilim characters, actually. They have really dark sides, but also really beautiful light sides, which is part of the reason why they're so conflicted, because they don't know which way to go. They are confused by their own nature. And I think that's kind of true of humankind in general, hey? So, on a much lighter note, this is my favorite mug. Just one more chapter. And readers are leaders. Really love this mug. I think I got it from a Chapters for a godforsaken price. It's probably like $23 or something stupid like that, but I really like it, so. So that is a very useless fact, but it's a fact. Let's see what else we have. Biggest fear, biggest regret. What's your eye color? Well, I'm terrified of heights, and this past, what was it? I think it was maybe about 5 months ago or so. We decided to go to this park. And it was a heights park. I can't remember the official name, but basically they have a bunch of these ropes set up in the trees. It's like a big avian evil obstacle course, and you had to try to make your way across these like logs in the sky. They would have logs just cut out in a row, and then a bunch of ropes on the logs, and you'd have to like make your way across them. Oh my goodness, I don't know why people do that for fun. I was having a borderline panic attack when I went. Ugh. There was one that was about, I think, 60 feet in the air. I don't even know how they made it that high, but it was so high. Don't mind my gurgling. And because, yeah, I'm competitive, so everybody else was doing it. And despite my disabling, crippling fear of heights, I thought, because everybody else is doing it, I absolutely need to do this. Otherwise, I'm going to regret it. And, yeah, so that was terrifying. There's a real rush of adrenaline, but yeah, I don't like heights. Favorite color? My favorite color is definitely green. Any kind of green. My maiden name is Green, actually, and my dad's favorite color is green, so those things kind of just, they work. Yeah, I'm married to an Italian guy. Our name is pronounced Pizzuto. Yeah, it's actually supposed to be Pezzuto. It's in the Italian Pezzuto, but people can't even spell it in Canada, let alone say it, so sometimes I miss my name being so easy. And I used to say to people, it's green without an E. And some of them would look at me like I was stupid, and other people would clue in and they're like, oh, okay, there's no E on the end. Those were the people that I was friends with. Favorite childhood memory. Okay. This is kind of a cute one. So, my dad and I love my dad so freaking much. My dad and I, these matching sweaters. I love that, man. We had these matching sweaters, and it's kind of crazy because I was probably only 2, so I shouldn't remember this. But I have a very vague recollection of walking down the driveway with my dad, hand in hand with him, and we were wearing our brown sweaters. I don't know if you heard my stomach growling. It's a borderline chaotic day. But yeah, so we're wearing these matching wool sweaters, and it was so precious to me because I felt so close to my dad, and just so united with him. We were a friend to be reckoned with. My dad, he understands the dark humor. He's never chastised me for it, which I really appreciate because it's a very beautiful part of who I am, and I've just recently started to recognize that it's okay to perhaps see a little bit of darkness in things that other people wouldn't want to see necessarily. Yeah, I was given kind of a hard time with that dark side. Just some people in my life can sometimes be a little bit controlling. But yeah, so anyway, it's not a counseling session. Okay. My favorite drink. I know that they non-alcoholic or alcoholic, whatever. Non-alcoholic. My favorite drink is sparkling water. So Perrier. I love Perrier. This might be too much information, but I used to get in a lot of trouble when I was younger for burping, and my husband, that was my stomach. I don't know if you heard that. Wow. I need to eat my breakfast. Goodness. It's louder than the cats. But my husband he's a gassy person and has nice, loud, pronounced belches. And I could never really add up to that because I didn't grow up with it, right? Didn't grow up with video games or being able to belch. So I feel like Perrier is what Red Bull is to teenagers, and it warms up my vocal cords and loosens my larynx and allows me to just roar like a lion. So I've won some competitions with Alex that way, and I think I've gained a little bit of notoriety with him when I do that. So it's good. It's like I can be powerful too. It feels weird admitting that, but truly I am competitive and truly insecure in some ways. So that's how I get my husband's attention. Yeah, my husband, so it's my stomach again. My husband, he runs a software development company remotely. He is such a hard worker. He has his degree in biblical studies, and he thought that he wanted to be an itinerant pastor back in the day, and then he met me, and it didn't work out that way. It's kind of funny that I'm the one who's going to seminary, and yet I am the one that, honestly, I'll always be honest, because I am, and you're my friends. I don't mean this to be rude responsibility in a church setting really freaks me out because it's a lot of responsibility, and people are difficult. Having to deal with people is not very fun. Sometimes it's fantastic, but so I have a huge amount of respect for pastors who do that work, because it's not for me. I don't think I'm cut out for that. But yeah, so I think we'll do one more, then we'll call it a day. I've got to get to my massage appointments, and I should probably eat something. This is so random. What is your favorite candle scent? Can you imagine? I mean, it wouldn't be that weird, but sitting down with somebody, you're just meeting them for the first time, and they're like, "What's your favorite candle scent?" You're like, it's called Run and Hide. Oh, my favorite candle scent. Anything with vanilla. I would say anything vanilla based is fantastic. The one that I'm burning in the background right now, it's like a candy, vanilla candy. It smells like creme brulee though. So I really like that. Like sweet kind of flavors. I don't eat it. Sweet scents I really like. I just realized that I didn't really talk about my favorite theologians or anything like that. There are quite a few of them. I'll just say as a final note that I'm really enjoying the mystics in general. People who are very interested in the divine love of God. So Julian of Norwich is an example of one of those mystics. She's just so passionate about getting close to God's heart, and it's like we're always gonna disagree on doctrines. Like on my egalitarian video, I got people who were very opposed to the idea that women are equal to men. And that's kind of just the way it goes, right? But with the mystics, they don't care so much about that. They just really care about the relationship with God, and that their passionate friendship with Him and what that looks like. It's all encompassing for them. And I mean, that's what eternity is going to be. We're not necessarily, I don't think, going to be debating doctrine in eternity. It's about the unity between people and about the shared love that we have for Jesus. And that ultimately is the most important thing. And I find theology really fascinating because it informs how we lead our churches, and it informs how people see themselves. And that's why I'm very passionate about women's studies, because they've been disregarded in so many respects over so many centuries, and women have been made out to be, in a lot of ways, second-class citizens. That's not God's will for people. So yeah. So anyway, I love people. I'm just scared of them. Guess that's my final fact. And with that very happy note, I'm going to wish you farewell. If you made it through to the end of this, honestly, you are a complete and total trooper. I can do another one with maybe theology that I recommend, or authors that please feel free to let me know. It's really cool getting to know you guys a little bit better, or at least I would love to hear a little bit about you, your journey, some theologians that you like, maybe your favorite color. Just, I would like to get to know you a little bit more too. I've talked about myself for the past 50 minutes, so, and I'm kind of surprised that the cats didn't want to interrupt that. But anyway, I love you guys so much. So much.